welcome back to RuneScape, guys. Today I've got a guide for you, and it's a guide that I did promise in my series. It's a Kurask guide. Now this is going to be either for Slayer or non-Slayer. If you're for money making, obviously this is a money making guide. You're probably going to be doing it off task as well as on task. It's going to be quite a short guide. Everything you need to know is in there, and you can do it melee and ranged. Stat requirements I will get into. The first thing we're going to talk about is the drop table. I'm going to bring it up on screen in a second. But before I get into it, you do need to bring nature runes. We don't need to because they do drop nature runes, but you're going to need to bring fire runes to high elk, so I do recommend 55 magic. But here's the drop table on screen. As you can see, there are a lot of noted drops. Now these are the drops that I pick up specifically. I take renards because they're worth a lot. All the noted drops other than flax I take because they all stack up. If you guys really want to take a long look at that, feel free to pause the video, have a look at it. But for the drop table, it is very, very good. You're going to see in the background both melee and range kills. Currently we've got the melee going. I'm going to get into gear stats later and what you should wear, but for requirements for like levels, what you're going to need for, if you're going to do it the range method, you're probably going to want at least 70 plus ranged. Obviously, to be able to do Kurasks in the first place, everyone knows you need 70 Slayer, but I'm sure you wouldn't come to this guide unless you knew that already. But with range, I'm going to recommend 70 plus. You can do it with melee 70 plus, but to be more efficient, I would highly recommend 80 plus. Ranged is a lot easier because it's very AFK, and melee, you're either going to have to take food, prayer pots, or you're going to have to pray flick. Now, I have been at Kurasks for at least 60 hours, so I've got a high, what's the words? Well, I've got a lot of knowledge of them, basically. And I definitely prefer ranged over melee. It's a lot less click intensive, it's a lot more AFK, and I earn a bit more money. I done it with a higher range than 70 though. I had 90 when I was doing it. But we're going to get into what you should wear gear wise now. Now this is my melee setup that I use. Now I'm not expecting you to have anything like a Bando's chestplate or even a Berserker Ring or Fury if you're coming to Kurask, because I'm not expecting you to have max gear. Why would you be at Kurask to money make if you have max gear? But highly just running with this outfit. Fire cape if you got one. You can run a Dragon Defender, a leaf-bladed weapon, sword or battle axe. You're going to want your Berserker Ring or your best ring, best necklace, best helmet basically. And moving on to the range set, if you've got Void, I highly recommend using Void. Void is very, very good, and it almost feels like it just shreds through the Kurasks here. If you haven't got Void, just wear the best D-hide you can, the best ring you can, the best necklace, you know. I obviously would advise using a rune crossbow. If you've got an Armadillo one, feel free to use it. But if you're buying an Armadillo one just for this, definitely not. But also, if you've got an Armadillo crossbow, I highly doubt you're going to be money making here. Now, moving on to what I think the pros and cons are. Basically, the pros and cons, I've just said them briefly. You're going to want to do range for more AFK methods, and if you're going to want to do melee, you're going to be more in click intensive, or you're going to have to spend more money on supplies like prayer pots or food. Now, I personally think the AFK method's a bit better because I also feel like you kill faster. And it's good range experience, honestly. I was getting 50k experience from about 88 to 90 ranged here, which 50k experience an hour is not bad considering you're making about 500k per hour. Now the money will vary. You'll vary between 400k to 600k an hour depending on drops and also depending on your stats. But it is a very, very consistent 500k with coin drops. You can get very lucky and get back-to-back like Mystic Robes, which I've had once, I believe. And obviously that's a huge boost in your hourly profit. But other than that, there's not really many tips to give for Kurasks. You can safe spot them. There's this safe spot here. I highly recommend. You can see me using it in the background. It is the best safe spot. There is another safe spot, but this one I just find superior. You can pretty much aggro every single Kurask from there, and it won't be out of their aggro range, which is very nice. And when you get here, there is I believe it's a 15-minute aggro you will have to get rid of. And if you're in a safe spot, it doesn't really matter anyway. You may want to bring a bit of food for mistakes for prayer flicking if you're doing melee, or just for range in general. But that's pretty much it for the guide, guys. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, smash that like button, drop a comment down below, and subscribe for more. Peace out.